Good evening. We're going to talk rugby as we do every week. We're joined this week by James Blanchfield and Johnny Tobin. We've no Tom Crotty tonight. Before we continue on with the podcast, just want to pass on our condolences to Tom Crotty and his family. His mother passed away today, the day the podcast has been recorded. So our condolences to his family, and I'm sure the other two fellas will join in with that as well.
Indeed, Jim. Condolences from all Kilkenny RLC to Tom.
Stay from Tullow, yeah.
Absolutely. Right, lads. First weekend of the Leinster League happened. A bit of a mixed bag, but I'm going to have to start with Kilkenny because they were out first on Saturday. James Blanchfield, you were not happy. You lost, but you weren't happy. The WhatsApp group, my hand was going red. The phone was heating up in my hand. What happened?
Well, look, we went down very, very positive. We knew all week we may have a scrum issue, which did raise its head. There was probably 7, maybe 8 scrum penalties against us in the game and a penalty try off of scrums. So we probably conceded about 16 points off scrums or scrum penalties. But in all, we played the better rugby. We scored two really tries. One of them was a sensational score. Aidan McDonald went in from about 40 metres out, but the work was done from maybe 5 or 6 phases of play inside in our own half. Jake McDonald floated an absolutely incredible pass out to the left, skipped 2 of our own guys to find a 2-man overlap out wide, fed Hugh Corkery, Hugh fed Aidan, and Aidan just went for it, backed himself the whole way. Didn't have to use the second man on the overlap on the outside. We were in cruise control in the game, but for whatever reason, I don't know, refereeing decisions went against us after that. And we are questionable, and I know the lads have done a review on it this week, but there was 60-40 calls that went, 60-40 calls in our favour that we feel that went the opposite way. We were very, very aggrieved after it. We're not meant to call out referees on performances and whatnot, but referee that was there that day normally gives a better performance than he did, but we feel really aggrieved with some of the decisions that went against us. Would they have had a tangible impact on the outcome of the game? You'll never know, but there definitely was a momentum shift with some of the calls that went against us. Besides that, we finished we were 8-3 up at half time. 5 minutes into the second half, we were 10 points down, and at that stage it was damage limitation. Really, really was damage limitation. But in fairness to our guys, they shoulder down and got it back to get a bonus point out of it. In the last minute or two, we genuinely could have taken the game with us, but probably lack of composure, maybe wrong players in the right place, where you needed a forward to take it on close to the line. A winger was there who got blown back, ultimately succumbed to the gory pressure. But a lot of positives for us, a lot of things to work on out of it. Our defence was incredible, our attack play was super, our line-out was very, very good. Just the scrum let us down, and ultimately that's what cost us the game. Taking nothing away from Gorey, they're a really good side, but as I said last week, they play a style of rugby, and it's attritional, it's physical, and you must match them physically wise if you're going to beat them. And unfortunately, some of the breakdowns we didn't, and definitely at scrum time we were outclassed, and unfortunately that's why we lost. But look at some positives. A couple of changes on the sideline made a huge difference to the scrum. We introduced Brian Howe at loose head, Louis Venter at hooker, and moved Dave O'Connor up into the second row to give a bit more ballast on the loose head side there. When that happened, the scrum started to get better. Penalties started to reduce, so a couple of learnings from that. The seconds, despite the final scoreline, I think we're beaten 18-0 or 20-0. That was the 18-20 was the 18 points or 20 points to 0 was the score after 15 minutes, and that's the way it ended. So they bucked up their performance. They defended really well, but just did everything but score. So that's probably the next step. But it was quite a young seconds team that went down as well with kind of young seconds team, but there was a lot of kind of lads just chucked in as well to get numbers up or to get a bit of experience onto the field. So, as the season progresses now, hopefully the seconds can start getting wins under their belt as well, and fingers crossed get points on the board. And winning is a habit, and it's kind of good for culture and good for morale to start winning games. So Setonians at home this weekend, so hopefully we can go one better this week and get the win and not just the bonus point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 3:00 in Fookstown on Saturday. Johnny, you got yourselves off to a winning start anyway. 23-13 over Mullingar, and good old numbers turning up to train as well, you were saying.
Yeah, they've improved. I think they improved massively last week. Last Friday was the best session we had. I think there was 25 or 6 guys there, and same on Tuesday. Good performance by the lads. Again, it's a team that has never played together. A lot of young lads coming back. It's great to see Jay Leonard back into the first team. He went away to Dublin for a year there to play, and he's back down. Keane Leonard is there. Gareth Fitzgerald is back involved in the first team. Paul Canavan is now taking over the role of 10 from William. And didn't miss a beat. In fairness, Paul is probably one of the best players we had on Sunday. Off the tee, sure, he's exceptionally good, and out of hand, it's just he's very, very deceiving. You don't know what he's going to do. So, really good, really positive. We have Wicklow away next week, which isn't easy because Wicklow went to Longford and got a win, which could be at the end of the year a league deciding win for them. Longford is a very hard place to go and get a win, and they come out with a 1-point win. So, all focus on Wicklow this Sunday. But yeah, last Sunday was good. It was really, really good. Builds up the morale, like James saying, for Kilkenny as well, trying to get a win there next week for them. Builds up confidence in the lads and might get a few more numbers back to training, We're a bit snookered this week because football championship is Saturday. And we have about 7 or 8 lads involved in football championship this Saturday. So unlikely they'll feature for a team this weekend with us.
Yeah.
So, but look, it is what it is. We are where we are.
That's it, and depending on how they get on, it could be 5 or 6 weekends where they're gone. There's 5 rounds of the football, then quarters, semis, and finals. So It's a long time to be missing a few lads as well, Johnny.
It is. It pulls away from it. What it does, it affects our chances really of getting a seconds team, because we have a group of 23, 24 firsters, and then if you take 5 or 6 of them out, it pulls away from our seconds players. So look, we are where we are, but stay on the positive side of things. Going to Wicklow this weekend.
In 1B, Johnny is probably favourites. Would probably, no disrespect to anyone else, but would be at Wicklow and Longford, is it?
There would be, yeah. There would be, of course. Wicklow have a Fijian player. They got a Fijian guy in this year. I believe he's well over 6 foot, and he's 120 something kilos.
7
He's
foot.
meant to be a powerhouse. Over 6 foot.
6 foot, sorry.
Yeah, well over it. I think he's 6. I think he's 6'6" or 6'7" or something like that. He's meant to be a big unit of a fella.
But they've tanked up as well on the coaching ticket as well, haven't they?
Yeah, Dan Van Zyl is taking the wheel there. Look at they're a club that are moving forward rapidly on all aspects. Like the development of their clubhouse and stuff has been fantastic. In fairness to them, their coaching tickets at both women and men's level is second to none. So it's going to be a hard task. If I'm here next Thursday talking that we won in Wicklow, things are going well in the Black Eights.
Indeed, yeah. Because like on our side in 1A, everyone was talking Ashbourne, but Ashbourne got absolutely annihilated by Dundalk the weekend. I think it was 42 points to 0. Albeit they had shocking result. Albeit they had a player sent off.
But one lad sent off is not worth 42 points.
No, Ashbourne are still the defending champions. They won the last league before the season was pulled. They didn't get to go into the round robin, which they're probably kicking themselves over because they probably had a good chance then of going senior. But to lose 42 points to 0, even like the loss not getting a bonus point, the minus scoring difference, everything for them could have a big say at the end of the season,
Yeah, well, the points difference and the mindset even.
Yeah. Now they were missing a lot of players. I see Gavin Kennedy wasn't playing. Simon Deavy or Dippy, the number 8, had to go off injured after 5 or 10 minutes. So kind of there too, the Ashbourne main kind of main guys in the
Main
team.
go-to fellas.
But even if for Dundalk, like Simon O'Shea that was with us for the last 10 years has gone up to Dundalk because he's living up there now. But like he's an animal tight head, but he's actually playing loose head for Dundalk because they have a fella on the tight side that's better than him. You know, Dundalk could be a serious
some
force to
scrum.
be reckoned with as well. Pardon?
Simon O'Shea is nothing to be snubbed at. He's an
No,
excellent scrummager.
you know, so you know, Dundalk could be a surprise package this year. You know, it's a bit early to be calling it, but to beat Ashbourne by that amount it's a statement of intent.
Yeah. There's a bit of chit chat during the week. I was listening to a few of us down in Kilkenny having a chat there, and lads were saying that Dundalk would have been the guys that we would have been thought were going to go down this year.
Yeah.
And then they go and trump the lads who would have walked. You would imagine they're going to walk it. Like it's junior rugby for you lads.
It is, yeah, you know, it's about momentum.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good shift for Dundalk in fairness to them.
Absolutely. Johnny, your women were in the Paul Flood semi-finals, but went to extra time, but they lost out in the end. But the club is hosting the finals of the Paul Cusack and Paul Flood this weekend. Yeah,
they're on Saturday. The girls were unlucky. I wasn't at the game. Now I heard it was a cracker of a game. Went into extra time, and I think Belvo scored in the last couple of minutes to close it out. The Paul Flood Cup final has actually been moved. It's not going to be in Tullow this weekend. It's meant to be in Dublin now on Sunday. I was chatting to Cora Brown last night. She told me Blackrock can't field for Saturday, so it's moved to Sunday in Dublin. But the two Paul Cusack plate and cup are going to be played, and the Paul Flood plate will be played in the club, and they kick off from 12 o'clock out there in the club. And the women are actually doing kind of a fundraiser now out there, so they'll be doing the gate, and they'll have a bake sale, and they'll be selling teas and coffees and stuff like that out there as well during the day. So if anyone wants to go out and watch a game or even just donate to something for the women, it's just to get them a bit of gear and balls and cones and stuff like that, and stuff they're looking for, new kit and stuff. So anything at all, anyone wants to go out and donate, it'd be great for the girls.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Carlow picked up a win as well in their first match back as well. They're in Oak Park, and they're on the road this weekend as well. They're heading to play Mullingar, unless that match is called off, which we owing to the death of Tom Crotty's mum. Tom, of course, the president of Carlow Rugby Club. So we'll have to wait and see there. But as of this podcast recorded on Thursday evening, we no word of that yet. That'll be decided. But yeah, so a busy weekend. A good few derby games. Yeah, a good few derby games as well down on the girls levels and youths as well. You've Kilkenny against the Rhinos tomorrow evening, Friday evening. That's in the Southeast Under 16 competition. There's a couple of other little derby games across the weekend there.
There's a good few.
Yeah, we have under 14 boys versus Carlow on 10:30 Sunday morning or on Saturday morning. Under 13 boys versus Carlow in Carlow. And the under 18 girls have gotten a walkover against Enniscorthy, I believe. The under 18 boys are in Enniscorthy. And then on Friday night, as you alluded to, Stephen, the under 16 girls are playing the Rhinos, and then the under 16 boys are playing Carlow in Carlow. So
nice handy journey.
It's a busy weekend for youth rugby.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Our fixtures haven't been actually released for Saturday because we're trying to find venues because we're hosting the Paul Flood and Paul Cusack finals. So we're trying to find venues at the minute for our home games and stuff like that. I do know our under 14s are travelling to New Ross, or actually playing New Ross, in Tullow tomorrow night. That's the only fixture that has been confirmed. The rest are still up in the air as of now to try. We have 3 pitches, but when we have 3 finals going on, we have very little space. We've only 2 sets of goalposts as well at the minute. The third set hasn't went up.
Put down jumpers there. Put down a jump, two jumpers for goalposts.
2 jumpers, just kick it into it. But just on the Carlow thing there, because I know Tom would have mentioned it, just wish Ross Elms a speedy recovery. Ross done his Achilles heel last weekend. He's Carlow captain.
He's captain,
had an operation. Yeah, had an operation there on Monday and is in recovery stage at the minute. So just giving Ross all the best there.
He was playing number 8 for Carlow this year, isn't he?
Yeah, he's number 8 this year, yeah.
He'd be a loss.
Ross is a good fella.
Yeah, he's a dynamic ball carrier as well. I always remember, like, when he took the ball on, he made it beyond the gain line. Rarely he was ever went back.
Very, very rarely
backwards,
see
you
Ross
know.
go backwards.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely.
Actually,
So
just like he
speedy
thought.
recovery there.
Indeed, never likes it. Just like you, Johnny, as well. We actually have a bit of a fundraiser going on in the club on Saturday as well. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 home games. So the under 16 and under 18 boys teams are doing a kind of a sausage sizzle, as they're calling it, a bit of a barbecue, selling stuff to raise money for. What's that?
The grey head and sausage sizzle.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Raising money they're going overseas on a tour, hopefully the end of the season. So,
nice.
Fingers crossed. No, we actually have a brilliant lady involved with those teams. Byrne Bass is her name. She's from New Zealand, and she lives and breathes rugby and just loves being involved. So I think it's her brainchild. The sausage sizzle actually has a Kiwi old ring.
Has a bit of Kiwi
really.
thank you, all right, doesn't it?
Yeah. So Bernie's looking after that. She was telling me today she has 200 or 300 sausages purchased and 200 or 300 rolls. So, you know, anyone who's passing Folkestone or even dropping in for a cup of coffee into
might drive to Folkestone myself.
Make sure to buy a few hot dog rolls from the lads while you're at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the story. So busy weekend in store. The weather's still holding up relatively anyway, lads. It's quite unseasonably warm for this time of the year as well. So
it's not rugby weather.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit too warm for that crack. Yeah, it's strange. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather says the temperatures this month are being extremely high. Like, it's very heavy in that as well. But sure, we'll be giving out about. Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Wet Sundays. Wet Sundays. Right?
Yeah,
I was meant global warning. Don't tell Danny Healy Ray.
Your lads will get covered in muck, Johnny. They won't know what's after happening to them.
We're going to Wicklow, yeah. We won't know what's going on.
Actually, did you see that Joe Marler's tweet to ban the 4G or the 5G pitches immediately? What was the grounds for that? Did someone get injured on them, or was he playing on them or something? Or what was it?
He got a carpet burn or something off one of them.
Oh, did he?
I think he got a burn on his elbow or something.
All right, very good.
Lots to be complaining about that, lad.
Yeah, it does. It takes a few layers of skin, lads. It's not nice.
Yeah, the older ones would have. The newer, modern ones don't. They're not as severe. The young lads in Kilkenny, we played in Blackrock last Wednesday there, and their one is an old style one now, and young lads are cut up this week. Elbows and knees are in absolute ribbons. I don't feel sorry for them now, Rant. I'm just saying the old ones are a little bit different.
Yeah, the old pitches had proper rubber fibre, whereas the newer stuff is more acrylic.
It's more breathable stuff. It's not as heavy on the elbows and knees.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
You don't fancy going back to play a match on the old Astro, Johnny? No.
No.
Getting the knees torn off you.
That conversation is not going to happen.
Absolutely. Lads, the URC is kicking off this weekend as well, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But Andy Farr named the 50-man panel for a one-day camp. The usual faces on it, a couple of new faces in it as well, but no Simon Zebo was probably the headline that the media went with, because all the talk was, will he come back and he'll walk straight into that team. I'm not surprised that he's not on it. No. He hasn't played any games for Munster. There's no what would you call it, form chart to go off or anything like that. He didn't do the summer tours or anything like that, so it's not a surprise.
No,
but when he was at Racing, was he in form?
Well, he wasn't starting every week.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably more. I think that's probably more to do with the Racing policy, though. He was injured for probably 2/3 of the way through the season last year. He did get an injury, so he was out for 7 or 8 weeks with that as well. But you're right, Stephen. Like, I mean, I think it's a bit silly the papers to be latching on no Simon Zebo. You know, I mean, there's other players probably in the country who are more deserving to be in it, who aren't in it. You know, as we said earlier on, like Tom Daly not being in it is potentially a bigger story than Zebo not being in it. He hasn't played games. They've nothing to judge him on. You know, he has to go prove himself. He probably won't be in a Six Nations squad unless he has a sensational start to the season with Munster.
Yeah,
he needs an outstanding start.
Realistically, it could take autumn or summer internationals or to get himself re-established back into the squad. And don't forget, he'll be 32 by then as well. You know, and not old.
Young wingers and fullbacks
there coming through, like.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to dislodge the likes of Hugo Keenan and
Absolutely.
Hugo
Keenan has played the last 14, is it? All the last 14 Irish games he started.
Yeah, he's just so consistent, though. Ultra consistent. And that's the name of the game, I think, for a full back, anyway.
If you remember when Ian Madigan came back to Ulster, there was all the talk of the out-half problem was solved. Madigan was going to come back in and play. Madigan doesn't even get on the bench for Ulster.
No, which is sad to see as well, because he's a decent player. But yeah, he's not getting a shout in at all.
It's great to see Will Addison back in it as well. Like, here's a fella that will have, like, he is class. Like, if he just
he is good.
He's been so unlucky. If he gets a run at it, he's not kind of, how would you say, a blockbuster player, but everything he does, he hits so hard. He does everything well, like, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't set the world alight, but he doesn't do anything wrong either.
Yeah.
To be fair. Would you imagine having a fullback problem of Hugo Keenan and Will Allison both on form?
Yeah.
No thanks. Wouldn't like that headache.
Exactly, and then you've other possible options with Jordan Larmour, who's out of form, a couple of other lads there as well. Yeah,
I'm going to rock the boat now, and I think it's time to move on, and I think it's time Sexton's. I genuinely do. I think Sexton needs to become yesterday's news, and I think he's not going to be here forever. We're 18 months out from a World Cup. I think now is the time potentially to. Even 6 months ago was the time to start making that change and having a succession plan ready to go.
Realistically, is he going to hit the World Cup?
It's hard to see it, lads. You know, Warren Gatland didn't bring him to South Africa for a reason. You know, he's not.
Ian Henderson was giving out about Warren Gatland, actually.
Yeah. You know,
I would too if I was brought on 2 tours and didn't get one test.
Yeah, but like. Is Carberry the answer to the question? Is Billy Burns the answer to the question? Is one of the Byrne brothers the answer?
I actually think Harry Byrne is the best option out of the four.
Yeah, he's class.
We
won't know till they're given a chance. Like, I think Harry and Sexton. I generally think it's just time now to say, look at Johnny. It's been a good ride. Thanks a mil. Good luck.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, James? One more Six Nations with Johnny, and then that's it. Drop him off the panel or drop him now.
That's the worst decision ever, because it's like the one before the World Cup is not the one to blood in the young lad. It's the one before that. It's this one is the time to blood him in.
In Ireland, we have an awful, I suppose, process of peaking 2 Six Nations out from a World Cup when all the other lads are kind of going, hey, fair play to Ireland, you've done well this time. And we lose the total run of ourselves, and then we get to the World Cup and we're scratching our head going, what's going wrong? Like, you can't keep that level of intensity going, that level of performance going. Like, I think, you know, if I was Andy Farrell, which I'm not, and he's a far better rugby man than I am and knows a lot more than I ever will. But I think it's time now, go into the next Six Nations and give Carberry a shot. Try to Byrne, try one of the 2 Byrnes from Leinsters. Is Billy Burns the guy? I don't know. But we'll never know. Like, I mean, let's give it a go. Look at young Marcus Smith in England.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, he's box office, like, you know, because he's getting his chance. And it's probably something that we're, even in the provinces in Ireland, we're always seem to be just, particularly Munster and Leinster sometimes, just slow to give the younger guys their chance. Just, I think, let them in. If you're good enough, you're old enough.
The big issue, James, is that Johnny's just so good. But I agree with you that it is time to drop him. It's just the gulf is so big between Johnny and everything else. From what I'm a huge, obviously, Johnny fan, Leinster fan, all that. But I do agree with you. It's time to bring that young lad in. Then, like you said, you look at Joey Carberry, has a few games back, hasn't set the world alight.
Yeah.
Ross Byrne, he's good, he's consistent, he'll do the job, tick the boxes. Bob's your uncle. Yeah. Billy Burns, I don't even know why he's on the squad. But Harry Byrne, I've no time for Billy Burns for a number of reasons. But definitely rugby is obviously one of them. I just don't understand it, and I never will.
Did he take your point about this one night? Or?
Oh, more than likely. I throw
a real curveball in here. I don't agree with you that Johnny is that good, because Johnny Sexton is not able to consistently play for 60 or 70 minutes.
No, but his level, his level, regardless of his game time, you know, his skill level is what I mean, and that's the problem.
But his game time is what's going to benefit Ireland, not his skill set.
Oh yeah.
If he can skill for 15 minutes and get a bang to the head, or
Yeah,
get another injury or whatever.
Not having his leadership is going to be an issue, but you're not going to replace him unless he's there.
Look
Unless
at
he's not there,
when O'Driscoll left, not having his leadership was going to be an issue. The following year, they trounced the Six Nations. Even he said it himself. The boys don't seem to miss me a bit, and he was the biggest star we've ever had, bigger than any Johnny Sexton or any Paul O'Connell. I just don't know. I think Joey Carberry is not the solution either, because they're looking at him at a 15 now. Like he's playing. Like wasn't he in for Munster there? Didn't he play a couple of games 15?
He did on the way back to get me into
on his way back in.
But I think by the time,
if you have a guy coming back with an ankle or a knee injury, would you put him at 15 where he's going to be going as an aerial threat, more of a cause to cause another harm?
That's a good point, Johnny.
10 out of the way. So
when Joey was with Leinster, I was a huge fan. But when they started moving him back to full back and started playing him there, you knew something was seriously up. Leo didn't see him as an out half; it just wasn't working out.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, I've been willing, sort of, Carberry to be the 10. Come on, like Joey, step up. You're sort of looking at these players. You're like, come on, Ross Byrne, now give it socks and give Johnny Sexton something to be worried about or whatever like that. But it hasn't happened. I definitely think Ross Byrne has a place on the bench or whatever it is like that. He's a good, decent, solid player. But Harry Byrne, like you were saying or touched on earlier, James, I think is possibly the next best.
Apparently, he's box office.
Yeah. His brain is anyway. I've watched just even playing for Ireland and Leinster.
He's Sexton like.
Yeah. He's a quick thinker. He's a chancer.
And he's a physical presence too for an out half.
Yeah.
He'll get in on shots, and that's where they're going at the minute. Like Carberry is just that little bit too small for.
Yeah, he's a brain looking all right, But like aside that, I'm just looking at the Irish squad here. Like, there's no major surprises in it. Like, it's.
No.
I think it's great to see Finney and Wycherley in it. I think it's just reward for his endeavours in Munster over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Cian Healy's still there, Earls is still there, so they have a great blend of kind of youth and experience. But the one that I'm most interested to see now is Jack Conan get a good scalp or a good run in the Irish jersey.
Now the standard's gone, he'll stamp that 8 in.
Yeah.
Caelan Doris might have something to say about that.
I don't know.
Jack Conan was an outstanding there for Lions.
He was. I'm a big fan of Jack Conan.
Jack Conan all his boot bag if he wants, maybe. But no, Jack Conan for me is the man. I think Jack Conan is a nailed-on starter for.
He's hard, like he's a hard man, like.
Yeah, very Jamie, like.
Doris is good. Don't get me wrong, but Jack Conan had an outstanding Lions tour.
Yeah.
Led the stats on many occasions and all fronts, like.
But we're so lucky to have the depth charts that we have in the back row.
Oh, lads, it's crazy. Gavin Coombs, like Gavin Coombs is a monster of a chap.
Yeah,
he's just so watching him last year.
Like when you like, I love him. I think he's incredible.
I think he's brilliant.
Is he out and out athletic enough? Like, is he? He's great in around close contact, in around.
Is he a Van der Fleer kind of player? Fit wise,
yeah, remains to be seen. I actually would rate him pound for pound, like for like in position. I would probably rate him even a bit higher than Van der Fleer. I think he does more donkey work than what you want from kind of a six.
He does more of a six work.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really like about Coombs. He's an out and out number 8. He's not a number 8, or he's not a number 7 that can play 8, or a 6 that can play 8, or a second row that can go back. He's an out and out number 8, which is something we haven't had really since Heaslip. That's like Standard was cover the back row, and Doris can go across the back row. Like 8 played there a couple of times. It's a hard position to play, so I think Doris has a big future for Ireland, or not Doris, but Coombs has a big future for Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just at the minute, he's just not at that level just yet.
I think. With Standard gone out of Munster now, you might see him get more game time at 8 as well. In the big games, because when the big games came around when they came around last year, they moved him onto the flank.
Yeah, he didn't get a shot at the end of the 8. Yeah.
I think what we want, and just this ties into looking at the United Rugby Championship starts this weekend. Leinster against the Vodacom Bulls on Saturday, Munster against the Celtic Sharks. But that conversation, James, Johnny, sort of lends itself to, I think we're all willing Munster to take a step up this year. Zebo's back, bring a bit of spark, injection, sell a few tickets, but get a bit of confidence back in that Munster team as well. Carberry can settle himself a bit this season because he's back properly for the full season. You have RG Snyman back as well from injury or coming back. Sorry?
He's like a new signing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's 7 minutes until he fell off that line out against Leinster up in the Aviva. There's a lot of exciting stuff there, but we, like Leinster, would love to see Munster stepping up as well because the better they are, the better we are. Speaking from a Leinster point of view.
Remember Gift Grub all of those years ago when they were talking about Liverpool and Stevie Gerrard, and we were there or thereabouts up until Christmas, and then we're just in the mix, and then we fade away and things go wrong, That's been Munster for the last 10 or 11 years. But I just read today, actually, they brought in that lady, Caroline Currid, who was the Limerick GA performance coach. And I think she worked with Galway when they won the All-Ireland, hurling All-Ireland as well. Like she has an incredible reputation. So you'd hope her influence with Munster will make a little bit of a difference, because maybe it might give players a little bit of extra focus or not. It's hard to know. I've never been in that professional environment, but small differences make, as the fella says, small pebbles make big ripples. But Munster, I think Van Graan is in the last season of his contract here as well. He's going to be playing for his future here. If he doesn't succeed with Munster, Munster
his coaching ticket is done then.
Don't forget, Stephen Larkham is there, and Stephen Larkham is probably looking bigger picture. He didn't come over here just to be second in line, in the long term. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't like Van Graan. I think he's too conservative. I don't think he ever really challenged that enough out of that Munster team. I think Rob Penny, when he was there, was getting Munster playing good rugby, and they shipped him out. Axel came in, and looking, unfortunately for him, the other Erasmus came in, had them going reasonably well, but I think they've even gone backwards under Van Graan since then. So it's a big season for him, and if they don't perform the goods or produce the goods this year, I think it'll be, thanks Johan, time to go. We've given you 4 years, 3-4 years.
Absolutely.
Have to pass the book over to Stephen Larkham and Graham Roundtree and somebody else. And there's a reason that Jerry Flannery and Felix Jones both left at the same time. There has to be more to that. They just didn't say, well, they were off. Like Felix Jones is over in South Africa now, and
World Cup
Jerry
winner.
Flannery is over at Harlequins, and they both a World Cup winner with South Africa and a Premiership winner with Harlequins. There's a deeper reason than that, I'd say, if you scratch beneath the surface. So, the spotlight is on Van Graan this year, big time to perform.
Yeah, I think it's a culture problem.
Potentially, yeah.
I think there's a culture problem there because you don't have two Irish guys leaving Irish province for no apparent reason. Finances don't come into it for the likes of Jerry Flannery. I imagine he's Munster through and through. He would have stayed there.
Yeah. And you look, actually,
to be honest with you, lads, I don't think Munster are going to do anything.
Yeah, your man Peter McCabe, the head of high performance, the head of the academy, left at the end of last season.
Yeah, that's right.
They have brought back, and their strength and conditioning coach left as well, the American guy.
Dennis Leamy is up in Leinster, like.
Yeah, but I think that's more so to do with the suits down in Munster. They didn't want to give Leamy a full-time job. Leamy wanted to work for Munster, but he wanted a full-time role. And how should you say, the so-called executives down in Munster said, no, we'll give you a part-time role. Leinster came along and offered him a full-time role. At the time, he was coaching Cashel.
But there's opportunities missed, by Munster. So there's a culture problem at the top table then.
If you look in Leinster, and Johnny, you were in the Leinster coaching system, there's Munster guys all over the place. You have Billy Phelan, you have the two Hogans, Noel McNamara, Dennis Leamy now, there's John Fogarty. There's Munster guys all over the place.
Yeah. They're in good positions as well. They're in key positions.
There's something amiss there, and they really need to pull their head back in or take it out of the sand and get themselves together, because, they risk becoming, they risk becoming a Liverpool who were once big and then just, as I said, filter back into the background and compete for 2/3 of the season. Then when it gets down to the business time, same old.
Yeah,
I think what they need to do is they need to invest a lot of time into their underage structure. If you look at Leinster's 18s and 19s interpros and 18 girls interpros, they are just consistently just knocking them out of the park, roll after roll after roll, again and again and again. Munster are not even competing with Leinster.
Yeah. One of the big things, if you look at all of the young guys that have come through the system in Munster recently, like the Wycherleys, the West Coast Mafia, as they're called, they're all coming through the youth system, but they're all coming from Cork. And John O'Neill, God rest him, died there at Christmas. But he was one of the main guys in driving that on, how should we say, down the south of Munster. He's originally from Waterford. He played for Munster. He coached us, played in the Towns Cup final with us as well. But he was heavily responsible for producing those players. And I remember chatting with him once, and he said, a big issue that they're having in Munster at the moment is rugby is booming in Cork. But in Limerick, believe it or not, it's starting to tip off because hurling is doing so well.
Yeah.
Playing, loads of them are playing. And I think someone said to me recently, in the Munster Academy 2 years ago, there was no Limerick kid.
That's true.
Maybe I'm wrong. That's mental.
And Limerick would have been the strong rugby community.
Yeah.
Coleman's in the centre of it. It would have been the strongest rugby community.
There's systemically something wrong. And a flip, and a lot of people from Munster will go, but sure, Leinster has the population on this. That's only an excuse to a degree as well. Leinster, where Leinster have a brilliant advantage is their school system is incredible. Schools rugby is incredible. And now they're going even deeper down into youth rugby. The Munster school system isn't like that. Some of the more traditional schools like our school are now focusing on hurling as well. So, I think it's. I think Leinster have done an incredible job over the last 10 years, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down. The level of rugby player that's coming through and getting to senior rugby at Leinster is unbelievable. But even the players that aren't getting through and going overseas and going elsewhere, I often think to myself, is there actually space for a fifth professional team in Ireland to take the surplus of players that are not making it and get them into a professional environment as well and keep them in the country?
Yeah, keep them in the country to play for the country.
Split Leinster in two, lads.
I'd actually don't get ahead of ourselves. Somewhere in the Midlands, to be honest with you.
I actually had a chat with Johnny Butler and Tony Schmidt about this. We're up at Trinity one day, and I was just saying to him, is it ever going to stop the Leinster conveyor belt? It has to hit a stunt sometime. And the lads were just saying, if you look at the school, you're talking about the school system, Michaels have produced a massive amount of professional rugby players in the last 7-8 years. And that's one school, in Leinster, in a 12-county province. And they're just, it's like Leinster's sub-academy. They're just pumping players out, professional rugby players. The conveyor belt doesn't seem to stop at the moment. I can't see. No. I can honestly say I couldn't see Leinster dropping out of the top tiers in Europe in the next 5 years. They're just going
hard to see.
Unless somebody cuts the funding drastically, or they hire a few go wallop, it's not happening.
But there's a box office player coming through every year. Coming through from academy. There's someone coming through, and you're kind of going, holy crap! Where's it coming from? And it's back to the out half question earlier on. Leinster have 3 and potentially 4 out halves that could be in contention for the Irish.
We even looked there at the 18s interprovincial team there this year, Adam Day from Tullow. I was talking to Ben Armstrong about him a couple of months ago, and Ben said to me, now I didn't really take much heed on him until I watched Adam play, because I coached him a few years back and I knew he was good. But Ben said to me he's a once-in-a-lifetime player. And I watched a once-in-a-lifetime tight head. Adam played back row for me in the club. I watched a couple of interpro games and the video, I had him recorded and watched him. He's absolutely outstanding. And if I was watching that as a non-known to Adam of who he is and whatever, I'd be saying, who is this kid? Every year there's some outstanding player, but in every position. We're pumping tight heads out of it now between Furlong, Porter. They're just pumping them out of it. It's frightening, and all in key positions. You see on Facebook, there are all rugby groups lads be giving out. England are playing Leinster in the Six Nations. sure, get your academies working, get your players upskilled, you know.
But that strategy, Johnny, as well. Like, I remember 10 years ago, there was an issue with tight head in Ireland, and Reggie Corrigan used to come around to all of the clubs, and he'd be doing scrum clinics, going around everywhere doing scrum clinics. Ken Nance, all these guys, and they just went and focused on the front row. And remember, they have a system called Route 66 for second rows, and regardless if you're 6
remember
foot
that,
6 plus,
and then over 6'6" was going in for a trial.
Was going in for a trial, whether they played rugby or not. You were kind of said, "Come play rugby, see how you go." You know, that's strategy, that's planning, that's long term. That's a driver for growth, like, you know.
Yeah, I remember this funny talk about Route 66. Brendan Murphy plays football for Carlow County. Was actually, as far as I remember, he was approached by Leinster to give rugby a shot. He's 6'6", I think 6'6" or 6'7" or something. He's a big unit of a man. That was a good few years back now. Like, that was 9 years ago, I'd say.
There was planning gone into that as well. Like, it's not just something that just happened overnight and said, "Hey, we've all these rugby players, we're great lads."
Yeah.
You know, you have to go back. Even when Schmidt came in first, and who was it, Phil Lawler up in Naas, all of these guys, they all sat back and put a strategy together. And you're seeing the fruits of it now. And, you know, it probably is a blueprint for other provinces and other regions around the world to look at to see what Leinster have done, you know.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But there has been massive work, you know. I know the main Leinster team are getting the rewards of it now, but the hours, I know Phil Lawler from Naas as well, like the hours that man has put into it, and Decky O'Brien down here and Ben Armstrong. Yeah. Not even hours, the weeks, the months of planning and stuff. It's incredible. It really is incredible.
You know, that's why I say it. I'd say it honestly. That's why Leinster are probably, after the Crusaders, will be the best club team in the world.
Yeah, easily, yeah.
Like, looking forward to this season, lads, with the provincial stuff. Even the likes of Scott Penny last year, towards the end of the season, back row for Leinster, class player.
Martin Maloney from Mackay.
Yeah, Ryan Baird. He's only starting to fill out, like, he's only a kid.
As the fella says to me recently, he said, when Ryan Baird grows up, won't he be a great player? Like,
myself. Yeah, he's a specimen. Like, wait till he actually fills out and gets a bit of bulk on him.
Remember the try he scored last year where he ran and he did a zigzag and came back, and it's like, for a second row to do that kind of stuff, like, you know, Genie Mac, if you did that, Tom Halpin would have pulled you off the pitch by the ear and told you second rows aren't supposed to do that.
We have hamstrings.
It's a fellow says that Kilkenny once I pulled a hamstring, and Tom Halpin looked at him and said, "No, you haven't. You pulled a fast one."
You try to take off.
Oh, that's it. Well, lads, we're looking forward to it anyway. I'm heading up to the Leinster Vodacom Bulls match. It's going to be interesting to see how Leinster, once they get on against the South Africans, they're going to throw a spanner in the works possibly this season. And it's a new format. It's a new everything. Sure, we'll see how it goes. The lad said, go well in your own games this weekend. And we'll chat to you again.
How did you swing a free ticket for yourself? So myself and my good friend here didn't get a free ticket either. We could have done a live podcast on the Leinster game, you know.
I just have to correct you there. There's no free tickets. Myself and my wife bought the tickets and we're heading up on
you're not
Saturday.
going for work.
No.
Johnny, he's not like you. I was looking for a freebie, you know.
We're in the lower west stand, so we are. We've bought our own tickets.
Come here. Sean left Leinster in 2019. My freebie stopped.
Oh, no.
So I haven't been to a Leinster game since, by the way.
You have to try and be friendly at Byrne or something.
Tell me this, Johnny. Killian Redmond, we spoke about it there 2 weeks ago. It's all above board now and he's gone across, is he?
As far as I know, it's just all through legal terms and stuff like that at the minute, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah, so it's all good.
Yeah, it goes well from lads. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you again next week. That's it from the knock on for this week. Thanks,
Johnny,
James.
You take it easy this weekend now as well.
I always take it easy. It's my second wedding anniversary. I'm doing nothing this weekend. I'm chilling out.
She hasn't left you yet. You know you've done well, boy.
Yeah, I'm getting into the kitchen now to make her dinner, so I'm grand.
She's a lucky woman. See you, lads.
Lads, thanks a million.